Thank you, Governor. I appreciate the opportunity to address New Yorkers, and for the first time in too long, being part of a leaders meeting, and welcome all my colleagues from the Republican side of the aisle in the state Senate, certainly indicating their desire that a bipartisan budget be put together. When we've debated the extenders, and up to this point, the extenders have failed to get a budget done. Senator Carl Kruger, on a number of occasions indicated that joint conference committees were not going to be held because we hadn't reached a critical mass. Number one, I don't know what the critical mass is. Critical mass occurred when the budget was late on April 1st. School budgets today have no idea, and people go to vote, what the final state aid will be. The Powers for Job program has expired. Dozens of parks are closed. Critical transportation capital projects are being deferred. And I could go on and on. The public, and rightfully so, is frustrated and angry at the lack of Democrat leadership, whether it's you, Governor, Speaker Silver, or Senator Sampson, in getting the conference committee process going and achieving a budget. It's nice to talk about reforms, and certainly any types of reforms that would make the accountability of the state better is good. When Republicans were in the majority, we passed most of the reforms that were recommended by Lieutenant Governor Rabbits or the Speaker mentioned today, not to go anywhere in the Assembly. But you can talk about reform, but when you have the biggest reform we've passed in years, the Budget Reform Act of 2007, and that is being ignored. The law is being ignored in terms of the composition and the start of Joint Conference Committee. To throw out more reforms really is not the way to go until you obey the law that exists today. I know, Governor, you addressed the Assembly Democrats yesterday. Certainly, I'd love to see you come to our conference, and I'm sure Senator Sampson and Senator Assemblyman Cole would like to do that also. But we've been excluded from the budget negotiations. Yesterday, Senator Carl Kruger indicated that there were three-way Democrat meetings going on, and certainly we were not included, and that there were three-way budget committee meetings going on at the staff level, and we've been not included in that process. We have a huge deficit, and we all recognize that. On a number of occasions, Speaker Silver, and I know on the radio over a month ago, you indicated that the Senate and the Assembly have agreed on ways to close $6 billion out of the $9 billion deficit, and the rest could be closed through loophole closures. I think it's appropriate at this leaders meeting for you to inform us who have not been part of the discussions exactly what has been agreed upon between Senator Sampson and yourself and the governor, and what you consider loophole closures. We have our members here, again, they in earnest want something done. But the only way you're going to get a budget done in a bipartisan way if everybody is part of the process. The public demands that joint conference committees be held, that the input come from the individual members, not dictated by the legislative leaders. And certainly yesterday on the floor of the Senate, not only have we been excluded from the negotiations, but the Senate Democrats sought to close down all debate when it came to the issue of the extenders, and I think that's unfortunate. I know a number of members in the Senate and the Assembly, Democrat conferences, stood with certain special interests to propose $8.5 billion in new and higher taxes and fees. We have no idea with the meeting of the three leaders exactly what are those taxes and fees that have been agreed upon, similar to the $11 billion in taxes and fees, including a payroll tax in the MTA region, were agreed upon. So I thank you, Governor, for having this meeting, but I think it's also critically important than talking about the importance of certain reforms and how nice it is that we're getting closer and we have a joint conference committee, that answers be given. What have you agreed upon, Speaker, John Sampson, Governor, in terms of cuts, in terms of tax increases, if they're part of it, how you're going to pay for the real property tax relief? We certainly, Senate Republicans support that. We initiated the STAR rebate program, and those checks were taken away by the Democrats last year. I think it's important, as I look at a recent editorial, and there are a number of other ones throughout the state from the Times-Union, and it says, one would think that Democrats controlling state government, they could find common ground. Whatever happened to public leaders' meetings, thank you for having one today, are the Governor, Senate Majority Leader John Sampson, and Assembly Speaker Sheldon Silver afraid to publicly express and debate their differences for fear of giving Republicans political fodder? Leaders' meetings and conference committees can mean a lot of posturing, but they serve a purpose, and that's what's critically important. They force state leaders and lawmakers to publicly defend their positions. They reveal the strong arguments, expose the weak ones, and illuminate for everyone the ground for compromise. And that's why it is a position on Republican conference that we should immediately, and I thank you, Senator Sampson, for recommending that the General Conference Committee meet immediately or sooner, and that then the subcommittees start meeting so that there can be member input as to how we can conclude this budget. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you.